we go. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm gonna jump into it. All right, so leads are the fuel to your economic engine, Gary Keller. So is anyone familiar with the triangle that Gary always pulls out, and he talks about it? He literally, in most of his trainings, he'll pull it out, and it's the triangle that says leads, listings, and leverage, right? So if you look at it as a triangle, you have leads on the bottom, listings on the side to the left, and leverage on the side to the right. Why do you think leads, I want to ask everyone, like, why do you think leads are at the bottom? Put your answer in the comments there. I just want to see what you guys think. Why do you think leads would be at the bottom? Can you see the chat, Shirley? Because I can't. Oh, there you go. Basis of any business. Exactly. Right? Without any leads, you don't have any business. The foundation. It's right there. It is a foundation. That's why it's on the bottom. That's why they have a wide foundation. You look at any triangle, it's a wide foundation, and then it peaks, right? If you can master the action of lead generation, you're going to bring in leads, which then lead to listings, and then you can leverage to manage the listings and do more of them and be more efficient with the listings. Right. And it's like, well, with some of you guys on here, right, I've had that conversation with you about listings being the lifeblood. And it's not necessarily that is, we don't have anything bad against buyers, but it's more the action of having the listing, which will bring the buyers, and you can get buyers off of that aspect, right? Which will then lead to even more listings on that front too. And around a listing, there's so many actions that you can do to bring in more listings as well, right? Getting out there and do your door knocking, do your just listed calls, do your coming soon calls, get belly to belly with the neighbors, and really see if there's anyone else out there thinking about listing. So the importance of the economic model, guys, this is one, it's a big aspect. When you look at, if anyone's read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, you look at it and you have your models that he lists out. This is probably one of the most important one outside of your budget model. Your budget model, when you're looking at building a bigger business, you have to be on point with certain things, and anything can happen in a year. You got to think, in the start of 2020, no one thought that we were going to be going into a year where we're going to have a pandemic and everyone would be shut down for 3 months, right? If you harness your budget, you'll be able to withstand that, right? And it may take the pain to realize that and then actually move forward and implement differently, right? When you're looking at your economic model, it's kind of hard to have a budget model if you haven't actually mastered lead gen in that instance, right? So your economic model is going to really show you where your money is going to come from, which is going to bring in your gross revenue. It's going to show you where your money is going to go out, so expenses. It's not going to dive into your budget model, but it's going to give you a rough estimate, which we'll go over, and then it's going to show you what's left over for your net income, right? So that's the rough version. But if you really want to dive into it, you're going to see exactly how many appointments you need to go on. All right, how many leads do you need to generate? How many, you can backtrack it to be how many nurtures you need to generate in that instance, right? If you're cold calling and you're looking at a ratio of 12 to 2 of nurtures, right? Like, how many nurtures do I need? If I can get 2 deals out of 12 nurtures, but I got to do 24 deals this year, how many nurtures do I need to generate in a year, right? So it's, the whole goal of this is to really put you guys back at looking at what you need to do in today's activities, right? So many people get caught up. We're in June. We're halfway through 2021 already. So how many of you have actually taken a look at your goals for 2021 and where are you on track, right? What are you on track to do in that instance? Because if you're not on track to hit your goal, well, A, is it time to pivot and reevaluate that goal? Or are you close enough where it's a little minor pivot in what you're doing on a day-to-day actions over time will make that massive change and get you to achieve or exceed your goal, right? So those are the things you got to think about, right? If you don't take the time to reflect and to look at your business and to truly look at the numbers, you won't really know where you're at. Oh yeah, you might be doing awesome. You might, you have 10, 12, 20 deals this year so far, but truly, what did you want to do in the first place? It's all relative at the end of the day, right? So does that make sense for everyone? Like, Is there any questions on that before we jump into it? No? Okay. So as you guys see, so what we're going to do is truly choose what you want to focus on at the end of the day, right? Because for us, for 2021, we did our goals on listings only. And the pure focus is that a listing generation is 2 to 1 for a return on investment, right? So if you have a listing, you can generate a buyer, or a good possibility you're going to generate a buyer, or like not for that property, maybe for another one, but also a good possibility that you're going to generate another seller nurture, right? So if you build your economic model out to be listing focused, and then you build your actual lead gen pillars out to be listing focused, you have way better chance to just exceed your goal, right? And then what happens if you built out each pillar in your lead generation model to be able to achieve what your economic goals are, right? Like say you wanted to do 24 transactions. Okay, well, if I really want to nail down 24 transactions this year, what if I have my 3 pillars is like, yeah, I got sphere, I've got cold calling, and I've got door knocking. What if I backtracked my numbers on each pillar to actually accomplish 24 transactions, right? And then if you hit 50% of each one, you're actually 50% over your goal, right? So you see what I'm talking about? I'm just thinking a little bit differently on what you're doing on that day-to-day basis, right? Because this action, if you're truly doing this, right? If you're truly doing this to set up for next year or next quarter, right? I would advise doing this on a quarterly basis now, right? We're moving to the 12-week year model where we're going to look at it every quarter and then pivot and make more of a focus and maybe on one pillar per quarter as we go forward, because what you focus on is going to expand at the end of the day, right? So if you focus on the door knocking aspect, you're going to expand that aspect, right? And you focus on the actions that you're taking on a daily basis. But if you focus on the cold calling, you're gonna build those nurtures. You're gonna build your pipeline, right? If you focus on the just listed, just sold, you're gonna build that nurture pipeline as well. So as you guys can see over here on the left, so we got sellers. You're gonna start with appointments, conversion rates. Now, depending if you're new, experienced, and even if you don't know your numbers at all, right? How often do you go into an appointment, and then how often do you walk out with the contract signed? Right, so that's your conversion rate from listing taken to a listing to a contract signed, right? So if you're new, I would use a 50-50. Use a 50% conversion rate, okay? And then sellers sold conversion rate to sellers taken. Oh, sorry, listing appointment to taken to sold, yep. Depending on the market, right? So depending on how you're pricing homes, are you pricing accordingly? Are you taking the right strategy to get your home sold? Because that is going to be the number of homes that actually sell, right? Not everyone sells in this market. Plain and simple. Everyone thinks they do, but they don't, right? Right now they don't. And I bet if we looked at the bigger aspect of the stats, we're probably around 25 to 30% of the homes fail to sell on the market, right? Some may relist and then sell again, but still it's a canceled or it's an expired listing. It is what it is, right? In my stats, and that's what it is. Like if we have one that didn't sell and we relist it, it's a canceled and that's a new listing in that instance, right? You want to keep your numbers and track your numbers appropriately so you can actually predict what you're going to have to do next year. Okay. So your average sale price, what's the average sale price that you're selling a home for? Right? Seller sold volume, percent commission, and gross revenue from sellers. All right. So if your average commission is 2.2% or 2% or 3%, you want to put that in there, right? So certain aspects that you can play around with, so you maybe insulate yourself a little more, is going to be your commission. You could lower that commission rate, right? Which at the end of the day, if you're charging a better commission, it's going to insulate yourself in regards for your GCI, your gross commission income. Okay. Your average sale price too. You could actually lower your average sale price a bit from what you're technically selling now, and that would insulate you a bit more. So it's gonna, when you look at this, the numbers are going to compound on each other, and it's going to give you a bigger number in regards for appointments needed, right? And then we'll go back into like contacts, all that stuff, right, that you need to get to those appointments. Okay. So any questions on this before I think the next one is to dive into it. Yeah. Any questions before I actually switch over and we'll jump into the actual mapping it out. And if there's anyone that wants to unmute themselves, I can even if, how about this? Yeah. Like if you guys want to, one of you guys want to talk, let's see what your goals are for 2021, and let's, we'll put them into the Excel here, and we'll backtrack what your goals would be and what you'd bring in. So let me know. Nobody yet? Okay. All right. So let's say someone wants to make 500,000 gross. Oh, we got one hand up. Madden, there we go. What's up, Madden?
Unmute. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, man.
Oh, okay, perfect. So yeah, so me being a fairly new realtor,
Yep.
Full time anyways, and basically getting into the swing of things as of a month ago. I kind of set out, I think a low or reserved expectation, but I was kind of reaching for 12 transactions for the remainder of the year.
Okay.
Might be a bit low. I don't know if it's going to make a good example, but nobody else was stepping forward. So,
well, yeah, no, absolutely, man. What we'll do is we can make that easy. So what we could do is we can do, because you're a solo agent too, you're gonna get rid of a couple things like cost of sale, expenses, right? And then your average, I'm gonna make it easy to say the average commission of $10,000 per commission, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So let's do this. So let's change that a bit. It's like, how much would you want to net out of the next 12 months per se? Like if you wanted to do 12, do you want to net that? Like, do you want to net like $80,000 in your pocket for the year or so? Was that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I mean, kind of reaching for in and around that, 70, 72 to 80K.
Okay. So let's do this.
Lorelai's giving a number of 150K to start.
So we're going to put 80K as your total net profit. Expenses aren't going to be too much, right? You're not going to have any cost of sales in your current situation. Like you're not like cost of sale, guys. If anyone doesn't understand what a cost of sale is, that's like, so for someone in my position that has a team that have partnered with a couple awesome agents that are out there doing deals. When I look at my total budget model and my breakdown of all of the deals that we're doing, a cost of sale is what goes to the agents, right? So when the agents take the split on the transaction, that cost of sale is classified as that, a cost of sale, right? So when you're looking at cost of sale versus expenses, they're two different things, right? So if you don't have a team and you're solo right now, it's all really just expenses at that point. Right. So let's say here we're going to do 120,000 and you're going to be about 40,000, just to make rough numbers, right?
Sure.
40,000 in, what is that? 330. Because I got 12 there. Cool. Okay. So as per model, your average expenses are going to be about 30%, right? As you build, the most profitable roles in the real estate industry is a solo agent, right? Or it's an agent on a team. Those are two most profitable roles, right? But how many agents actually master being a solo agent is where the problem comes in, right? When we have like a 90% attrition rate, that's where the problem comes in, is agents can't master what it is to produce the income, right? So when you look at, and then when you build out the cost of sales into it, that's where you'll see that money going. So right now with you being you being solo agents, you want to net 80 and you got 40K of expenses to get there. Okay. And that's at an average commission of $10,000. So right now it spits it out at 12 units sold, as you can see here.
Right.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So can you, I mean, I guess finish up with what you're saying, but if we can go back and maybe look at how it would pan out if I were part of a team and not a solo, somebody who was a part of a team and not a solo agent.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So what I'll continue on this one, and then I will, and then we can revamp that. Like someone on a team, it's going to be almost the same. It's just you're working in a different split per se. Okay.
Okay.
What's up?
Jeffrey wants to know if the broker split would be considered a cost.
Broker split. So like for a brokerage that's taking like a cap or whatnot, is that what I'm getting?
I'm guessing transactions fees would be considered a cost.
Yeah, like I would say
technically go on salary as well.
Yep. I wouldn't put it in salaries. I would put that in as a cost of sale, right? You could definitely do it as cost of sale because it is taken out of your commissions, right? So if you're on a brokerage right now that does 95.5 or 90.10, right? That could be cost of sale off of your business as well, right? Okay, so right now for Matten, we have a seller as a percentage of your total units sold. So right now, how do you want to structure your business, right? Do you want to do 50-50 for listings and buys? Like, or would you like more listings? What do you think, Matten?
I think starting off, probably want to go maybe 40% list and 60 buy.
So, as you see what I'm doing here, and I think they're going to get a copy of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jody, yeah, okay. So Jody will be sending everyone a copy of this Excel as well, so you guys can play around with it afterwards, okay? So as you can see, I put 40% for listings, 60% for buys. So as per the breakdown for your 12 units, you're going to do 4.8 listings and 7.2 buys, okay? Always round up. You don't want to round down, right? Always round up. So we're going to do 5 listings and we're going to sell 8 buyers, okay? So what's your conversion rate? So total listings needed, right? So are we going to convert? Are we going to sell 70% of them, right? I would say 70% is pretty good right now, right? Your appointment conversion is where we want to change it, because if you've went through Ignite and the other courses and you've really mastered that listing presentation and you have a firm closing techniques to have the contract signed, let's move the appointment conversion rate to be a 50% to be safe, right? Just to insulate us against any appointments or anything that we don't take. Okay, so now for Matten, we have 14 listing appointments needed. So appointments needed, and we have 20 buyer appointments that we need. Okay, so altogether we're at 34 appointments.
Right.
Okay, and then what it's done now is it's breaking it down to listing appointments per month. So you're at 1.1. I'd round it up to 2, and then buyer appointments per month. You're at 2.
Right.
So already right there, we know that Matten, in order to accomplish your goal, you're at, and this is for the full year, right? So if you want to do this for 6 months, you're going to you double this up.
Right.
So you're 2 appointments a week right now in order to accomplish your 12.
Right.
Okay. So when you move forward into that, now we want to look into, well, what's it going to take to get me that, right now? Let's just keep it simple for the 1 appointment per week, right? What is it going to take to get me there, right? So now you have to look at your nurtures, your number of nurtures that you're going to be producing, right? Your lead source, what your average conversions are for that as well. And that's a deeper conversation into the lead generation model. For anyone that, when you do get this, you can play around with this aspect. Like what I've done here is I've created, really, it's going to with some actual conversion numbers and everything. Like if you look at your total goals versus what percentage of business you want from your end goal, this will tell you how many leads you need and whatnot, right? So like if you look at my online leads here, I got a 2% conversion rate. Right? Percent of appointments needed. So I looked at my percent of appointments for listings, right? So I needed 30% of those total appointments I wanted to come from online leads. So then my leads required for the year is 206. Okay. Now per month, 17, per week, 4. Okay. That's a 2% conversion. So I know that now if I produce 4 leads a week, I'm going to move myself closer to obtaining that list or that 2 listings a month, 2 listing appointments a month.
Right.
Okay. So that is a deeper conversation for that aspect. Now, if you're on a team, what I would do is adjust your, I would adjust your numbers just by the aspect of your gross commission, right? So realistically right now, like on average on our team, I think we're seeing an average commission of 15,000 or so.
13 and a half.
13 and a half. So if we did 13 and a half, 65, 6,750, we'd alter that out. Okay. So in order, if we keep your 80,000 at the same, we've just changed the average commission. And now we know that we need to do 17 units, 17.8 units to get you to your goal of $80,000 net income. Now, that being said too, is you don't have any expenses on that side either. So your expenses might go down to like, what I'd say maybe $2,400 because you're going to have your board fees. You still have to pay your board fees.
Right.
And then like maybe some gas and stuff like that, right? Like, so like, let's say $2,400, $200 a month for your expenses. And it still doesn't bring it down too much.
The listing costs, expenses.
Yeah. Okay, so basically now we just move it to 18, and then what we can do is revamp this aspect. Now the true value of the team aspect too, Matt, is that we can work to increase your conversions on this side, right? And it's a great example because this is truly why we track the numbers to the extent that we do. Like I could show you my CTE and you could see exactly where we go with it. And that's thanks to Jody. Jody has absolutely rocked getting everyone to enter their CTE numbers, because now we can truly predict where we can go with it, right? We could say, Matt, okay, you want to get yourself to 24 deals this year. According to your conversion last year, you were at a 60% conversion from listing appointment set to listing taken. So if we say, okay, well, instead of working harder and setting, that many more listing appointments from say from 17 to 24, let's work a little smarter here. Let's put a little more time into scripting your listing appointment, right? And scripting the closes, and let's bring your conversion rate up to 70%. Right. So we add 20% off of that. We bring it up to, or we add 20% onto it. We just brought it down a bit on regards for that. And also your sold conversion rate. Well, if we put some solid marketing into your listings and we put it out to all the agents, we bring it up to 90. We just brought it down even some more. Right. So that's where you play with that aspect, right? Like you can play with it. You get to know exactly how we can get the agents into peak position there to really capitalize on what's coming across the plate in front of them. Right. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Any questions on that?
No, I'm pretty straightforward, and I'm able to understand the metrics and how they work. So I'd say I'm good.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome. So I'll just mute you here, man, and I'm going to continue on. Okay?
No problem.
Thanks, Ben.
Yep.
Okay. So any ahas, like anyone have any ahas that you want to put in the chat as well? Like, has anyone never seen that before? This is the first time you've seen it. Has someone seen something like this before? Have you tried to backtrack it yourself, and did it work? Did it not work for you? Let me know what you guys think. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so guys, now that we know the number of appointments we want and we need, like, now we're going to talk about how to go out and get them at the end of the day, right? Because it is the bottom of it is the bottom of the triangle. Leads is the bottom of the triangle for a reason, right? It's that foundation. So what are we going to do on that daily basis to move ourselves forward, right? So we're going to look at lead generation activities, right? Are we going to prospect versus marketing, right? Are we going to combine the two and do a prospecting based business, marketing enhanced, right? Are you you could follow the system of what we have for a 36 touch and build out those aspects of those touches to your database in your sphere. So as you're prospecting and adding people into your database, that marketing is happening in the background, and that's creating leads, right? I'll answer questions just at the end of this slide. So as we move into captured, so yes, say you've captured someone's information and they're thinking about moving in a year, right? So they're a lead or are they contact? right? If they're thinking about making that move in 12 months time, you move them into the leads process, and you want to start to connect and cultivate that aspect, right? So we'll get into the fact of an 8x8 or a 36 touch, but we're going to put stuff in place that keeps you front and center with them, keeps you belly to belly, and keeps you top of mind. Okay. So then we move into the nurturing versus qualifying aspect. So you cultivate it, you get them to the point where they're thinking about selling in the next 30 days. Okay. Well, doesn't it make sense to meet? Right. So okay, you got that appointment. Well, now what are you going to do? You want to pre-qualify that appointment, make sure that they're a qualified appointment going into the gate, so you have a higher chance of success for closing. And then now they become an active under contract to close, which equals money in your bank account. All right, I'm going to take a question here.
Jeffrey wants to know, how are you evaluating the changes you need and want to make? For example, your conversion on Facebook leads is 2%. How do you decide what to change to make that 4%?
Tracking. It all comes down to tracking, right? Track your number of leads coming in and then what you're converting at. Like I look at, and I did 2% as a rough, but here's the thing. Across the industry for online leads, 2% is good. And mark my words, it is good. And the only way you track that is you push and you track exactly how many leads are coming in, how many people are you setting an appointment with, and how many deals are you closing. Last year on our Google leads, Graham and I did 29 transactions off of our Google leads, and we were at a 2.7 transaction conversion rate, 2.7, right? So that goes to, there's lots of stuff that's going to determine on what that's going to be though. Like when you go into the cultivate stage, right? Depending on your source, they're going to be a little longer out. They're going to be shorter, right? Like if it's Google or Facebook. Google and Facebook are two different sources. Google lead it shows intent. They're gonna go onto Google and they have to type in homes available in Cambridge or Kitchener or home prices in Kitchener, right? They have to type that in and hit search. Facebook, they could be scrolling, and depending on the layers and the filters that you have set in place, they could just click on it and put in their information, but they have no want or even thought about buying a home. Maybe they just like what it looked like, or maybe they're thinking about it and they're like 2 or 3 years out, right? So when you look at your source, you're going to determine that conversion as well, right? And like, yes, the source, but then also the efforts that go into it. Because are you setting yourself up for success are you calling within the 2-minute period of them coming in? And then do you have a plan in place over the next 10 days to actually market, email to them, like call them, leave a message, text, follow up, and do you have that action plan in place? Like I called it in the beginning, it was 10 days of pain, right? And the reason it was called that is if you look at Amazon, right? If you go on Amazon right now and you were to click on something and you didn't buy it, like say you put it in your cart and you didn't purchase it, you go off Amazon, you go onto Facebook, you're going to see that piece, or that's something you're going to put in your cart. You're going to see that everywhere, right? That is the way that they retarget you. And the instance of what we do is that is we try to get in front of that person as many times as possible, right? Statistics shows up to 7 contact attempts before you actually will connect with someone, right? But that's changed with in our society today with the Amazons of the world. Like I guess with Amazon per se, just having that amount of contacts and that amount of being in front of you, that number is going up. So it goes up from 7 to like 13 contacts before you actually contact someone, get into contact and have a conversation, right? So when you're going down the road of online leads, there's so much more to consider, but it takes the effort and the grit to really follow through and convert them, right? Hope that makes sense. I know. Oh, Jessica, that was your first time seeing it. Absolutely. Play around with it too. If you guys have any questions on it later too, you can just email me, myself or Jody, or even book a call through the website. I'll share with you guys at the end of the day as well. So, okay. I hope that helped with online lead gen as well, because it is a beast. I caution people just half-heartedly just throw it at it, because it just doesn't make sense. Right? Unless you're committed to the process, and it's really going to cost you more than you're actually going to make out of it for a lot of agents. And it's a pain point for a lot of people because it's such a big beast that you don't really understand until you're in it and you realize, oh, how am I going to call the 30 leads that came in off this listing last week? So, all right. So importance of lead generation, guys. I don't really know, like this slide. is just super important. That is the foundation, right? It is literally the foundation of the triangle. So the number of the qualified leads coming in will either help you grow your business or it's going to diminish your business, right? So it all comes back to what you're doing for that 20%, right? Are you lead generating? Are you setting appointments? Are you going on appointments? Are you scripting and role playing? And are you negotiating contracts, right? Your 20% of what you do on a daily basis as a real estate agent, okay? And if anyone hasn't read it, the One Thing book, check that out, because that's where your 20% for real estate is going to come from. Like 80% of your results are going to come from the 20% of activities that you do on a daily basis, okay? So the 4 conversations. So when we move into accountability aspect, and not really, I guess not really accountability, but just tracking and tracking that aspect of what we're doing and where we're at, right? So what I like to do is we want to look at it on a weekly basis and see exactly where we're at for goal. Like if I'm looking over my CTE, that's where we track everything. And we have all of our deals in there. We got what we're pending, what we're closed already, the volumes, right, where we're at. And you can compare it to where we were last year. You can see where we're on pace for the year, right? So when you look at this, you're gonna look at listing appointments to listing taken, and then closed deals to GCI, right? At the end of the day, is there anything else that really matters in real estate, right? Because if you don't have this, what do you have? You have another job, you have another job, because if you don't have listings or appointments, and I'm just saying in regards, like, yes, you can have buyers, absolutely, right? I'm just in my conversations, like if you don't have the listings and you're not doing any buyer lead generation, then you're not going to get buyers, right? But if you don't have listing appointments, you don't have the GCI. All right. So this is where you want to keep yourself kind of in that flow, is that reflection, right? Reflect on what you've done for the last week. Does the conversations match your behaviors, right? Or do your behaviors match your goals? That's the big piece, right? Like if your goal is 24 transactions this year, does your action for the last 7 days match the 24 transactions, right? If you're 50% behind goal, maybe not, right? Maybe there's that tweak process that we need to work on. Maybe it's the script and role playing, right? And for anyone that hasn't ever actually script and role played or anything, and you think it's weird or like it's just not myself, it's not my language, those are the common threads. Scripting and role playing has been one of the the biggest transformational piece for me in my business, is actually being intentional and being consistent with script and role play. Whether it started out by myself when I was a solo agent and actually making that point to script and role play and write it out and memorize it. Like I walked around with cue cards, but then getting into the team aspect and starting to grow the team. When I first started to grow the team, we didn't script and role play, right? We practiced something every now and then, but I'm not bringing any value. People weren't learning and people were falling off, right? Until we consistently made that decision to script and role play on a daily basis at a set time and move forward, that's when you start to see business grow, right? Because you put the energy in is going to be the energy out as well. All right, so what are you doing for your lead generation activities? All right, so you want to look at it as pillars. If you look at the 135, which we're going to look at next, 135 is your GPS, right? Your annual GPS. You can do it quarterly as well. But what are you going to do, right? So now we get to the point of what are the actionable items that we're going to do today or this week or this quarter or this year to bring us to the 24 transactions for the year, okay? Right? What's the message going to be on the marketing? Or is it going to be prospecting, right? I suggest, as per the MREA, the blueprint for the millionaire real estate agent, is you have your prospecting aspect and then you have your marketing enhance aspect, right? So on your 135, that's going to be, a strategy is going to be the marketing, like 36 touch. For a solo agent, if you haven't developed a 36 touch, that's what I would suggest your first thing to do, right? Develop those touch points and have at least those conversations happening amongst your sphere. Right, and then your prospecting can feed the sphere and feed those appointments as well. Okay, so prospecting can be anything from lead generation, into open houses, to door knocking, to cold calling, to online leads, to everything. Right, so it's really going to get you, prospecting is the active versus the reactive approach to it, right? It's going to get you belly to belly with them, right? If you've got mojo, are you cold calling, right? Not cold calling. Are you just doing just listed calls, right? Are you getting out and knocking on 100 doors a week? Right. I think that's where a lot of the action that fails to happen is the lack of understanding of truly the conversions that it takes to get to those numbers. Right. The ratios are very small in regards to the number of people that fall through. Right. If I talk to 20 people, say the numbers that I recently ran was, say we talked to 20 people cold calling. Right. Out of that 20 people, one person is going to be a nurture. Okay. But guess what? Off of cold calling, if you have the proper 8x8 in place, and then you do the proper follow-up, you have a 12-2 ratio or a 6-1 ratio of converting that nurture into a client. All right. So if we say 6 times, where was it going with that? If you have to get 12 nurtures to get one transaction, or sorry, 6 nurtures to get one transaction. But if you wanted to do the 24, so you go 6 times 24, about 150, right? Mm-hmm. All right, yeah. So you need 150 nurtures, right? But how many dials is that? Right? 150 times 20.
Nurtures for contacts.
That's contacts. Sorry, yes. Yeah. That's nurtures. How many nurtures do we need? Our contacts would be 3,000. So if we did 20 contacts per one nurture, so you need 3,000 contacts for one nurture. I would leave it at that. If you wanted to go deeper, you could go into that aspect of like number of calls per contact, then go contact to nurture. But like even at that aspect, for 3,000 calls, I'm going to divide it by 48 because it take 2 weeks off of vacation. That's not right. Divided by. So you're 62.8 contacts per week. Okay, that's at 48 weeks. That's taking 2 weeks off, working in some budget for vacation, some downtime. But just to do 24 transactions at 20 to 1 nurture rate, 20 contacts for one nurture, you're going to be wanting to do 62 contacts for that week to move you towards that. Okay. Does that make sense for everyone? So when you move from, say we get that nurture, or we get 2 nurtures that week, well, what are you doing to market to them, right? We look here is, what are you doing to really stay top of mind, to solidify your name as the real estate agent of choice, right? And have follow-up conversations as you go to it, right? So like using the 8x8 or the 36 touch as well, which we'll jump into after this. So other aspects of prospecting, right? You're going to be doing FSBOs coming soon, farming areas, builders, third-party companies, right? You could pay for some ads, face-to-face door knocking, open houses, networking, social events, client parties, seminars. So marketing, you got the the bus benches, you got the billboards, radio, promotional items, internet websites, direct mail, sign logos, random items, and sponsorships. So obviously, when you look at agents, the most expensive ones here, guys, are going to be your up top here, and your promotional items. It's going to be crazy expensive, right? So, and I'm not going to say it doesn't work. Like sometimes it works, right? But you've got to have a big budget for that. You look at some of the biggest agents. If you were actually to break down what they actually do for transactional counts and their GCI, and work out what their budget is, like, are they really making that much money? Right? That's a whole another discussion. Internet websites you can get onto, like with Command, we have access for lead generation and stuff like that at a reduced rate. Now, like you got to look at your quality of source, right? Like, is it going to be more intentional or more beneficial to be on a Facebook generator than a Google generator, right? Have you done the tracking to actually show what works, what makes the most sense? Okay. All right. So the plan. So what I want to see, guys, and this was included with you guys as well. So this is literally how you're going to plan. I would say, like, say for Matten, right? You want to plan your next 6 months and you want to do your 12 deals. if we were to sit down and have a conversation, this is what I would have you draw out. Okay. Like, where do you want to see those deals coming from? Right. Where do you want to put your time and effort? Right. We go to that last slide. Okay. Well, if you don't know where to go, well, let's go back to the last slide and we'll pick a couple lead generation activities that work for you in that aspect. Right. And then it's a matter of, so we have one main goal. We want to do 12 transactions in the next 6 months, right? That's 12 transactions in the next 6 months, generating $120,000 of GCI and netting $80,000 in my pocket, right? That's, if it was me, that would be my goal right there. That would be my one main objective. Yes, it's got 3 points, but there's a point for that, because if I haven't written it out, if I just said 24 or 12 transactions, do you really have does your subconscious really have that drive to move it forward, right? Tie it to the outcome, tie it to the net, because you can tie that net to other goals in your life, other aspects of your life as well. Because if not accomplishing that net can bring pain, but accomplishing that net can bring joy as well, right? And it's not that money always matters, but at the end of the day, having money and accomplishing goals and able to do what you really want to do in life does matter, because that's going to push you in the right direction and push you to take action today rather than not taking action, right? So with the goal up here, we're going to move down to our 3 strategies. Okay, I call that the pillar. What 3 pillars are we going to put in place, and what are we going to do? So for a solo agent that's newer in the business, let's look at, my top 3 would be Sphere. I would put 1 for Sphere, your database, right? And then I would do an outside prospecting, like door knocking of some sort, or cold calling, or internet lead generation. If you're brand new, I wouldn't say internet lead generation, but and then your marketing aspect is your 36 touch. All right. 3 strategies right now with someone within a year is going to keep you very, very busy in regards for that aspect, right? Because you're on your own, you don't have anyone to help. So like the 36 touch has to be built out, has to be acted on, right? And then you have to new lead generation on a daily basis and bring them into your database, and then working with your Sphere and nurturing them and giving them value in what you do, right? So, but then what you get down to here is you see 1, B, C, D, and E, like those 5 aspects or what you're going to do within that. So say if we had Sphere, I'm going to put, okay, monthly call to Sphere, right? Maybe an event quarterly. And we can send out a stats video on every month, right? What else can you do for your Sphere? Maybe do a quarterly giveaway.
Contests. Yeah.
Right? Contests, giveaways. Like we do one, we were actually, the last 2 months, we did one once a month, and we're doing another one this month as well. Awesome. We had, what did we have last? 140 people from our Sphere called us last time. We did a reverse bold at what it was. We gave away a Yeti cooler, and 140 people called us, and they wanted to enter the draw. And our scripts prior to entering was just, hey, how's it going? Good to hear from you. Wanted to know, who do you know that's thinking about making a move in real estate that we can help out? Oh no. Okay, great. Just want to make sure we have all that correct information, because if you don't have that information, if you listen to the database one that I did, you can't properly market to them, right? So it was a way of really double tapping everything that we've been doing. So hammering down on our contact information, and also is verifying what we have, and then ability to put better systems in place, right? So let's say we're door knocking, right? Well, how many door knocking do we need to hit? Right? So let's say we need to do 100 doors or 100 door knocking contacts a week, right? That's going to be your first goal. All right. So pick an area, like what I would do in that case, I would pick an area with a better sales price. Like, why would you want to door knock? If you're going to put the same time and effort into door knocking, why would you want to do it in an area where something sells at 400,000 when you could do it in an area where something sells at 7? You're going to double your income. You're going to double your everything at the end of the day, just by making that one simple decision. Right? And that decision is going to drastically change the direction of your business, right? So, and if anyone's doing cold calling or anything along those lines, I would consider that a conversation piece, right? What are you going to give them? If you're door knocking on their door, like, what are you going to drop off? Are you going to be business card, stats card, whatever, right? Do you have a magazine? It's just along those lines. And this is what forces you to think before you act, right? So this is creating your plan on what you're going to do, right? So then Sphere, let's map out what your 36 touch looks like, right? Maybe 4 monthly call. So you got monthly call, that's 12 touches. Then you have a monthly mailer, that's another 12 touches. You got 24 already, right? And then you got, let's just say a contest quarterly, right? We actually qualify our contest to be 3 touches because you got your pre-touch, like your email, and then you got the day of, and then a follow-up, right? So we qualify for that for 3 touches. Like right now, our 36 touch is really like, it's probably like a 72 touch right now, I wouldn't say, like just with everything that we're doing, right? So that's keeping face-to-face with the people that we have in our system now. Okay.
Matt has a question.
Yeah, I'll do questions.
Matt says, when you gave away the Yeti cooler, how did you structure the giveaway to make it relevant to your sphere? How did they qualify?
There's no real qualifying point. It was literally it was just marketing out there, right? We had email plans put in place, like we mass emailed everyone. We actually did, we tried out a mass text as well to our database as well. So they would opt into the texting and it would like, yep, hey, qualify for the free Yeti cooler. Just call us between, was it 3 and 7? Call us between 3 and 7 on this date. And you can get entered, right? That's all it was. And sphere calls as well, right? So we were calling the week before, telling them what we're doing. But you don't want to, like, you want them to call in at that time, because that's the point of it in that instance of like the fun part of it, right? Because they're going to be, oh yeah, I don't want to miss that. Like we had people calling from Toronto because we put it on social media as well. And we had people that we didn't know calling to enter in as well, right? But like my personal sphere or my personal like Mets were calling me prior to the actual time. They were calling my personal self, right? Just to get in on it. Or people that Jody know that she'd connected with in prior transactions, they were calling her to get in on it, right? So like picking something like that, it's a win because everyone wants those. They're awesome, right? So I think our next one is we're doing it's a secret. Oh, it's a secret. Sorry, I can't tell you. Yeah. Anything else?
Being intentional of the planning is really like the baseline of it though.
Yeah.
Know what you're doing and know how you're planning it.
Yeah. Yeah. Planning is key when it comes down to it, right? So here's the thing, guys, when you're looking at the 135, don't discount that for just like, even for not really being much. Like think about the giveaway. Think about what I just said. You could put your main goal, say I want to have 150 people call in for my next reverse bold. Right? That's my main aspect. Well, how now, or what's my 3 strategies to get myself to 150 contacts? Right? And now what needs to happen in each of those 3 categories? And you can make this a 145. You can make it a 142, right? You can have 4 strategies, but only 2 pieces each aspect. You can make it whatever you want. The whole goal is that you're actually taking the time and you're actually writing it down and you're breaking it down to what needs to happen. So then you can move forward and time block that into your week or your month. Or your day to really make it actionable, right? Because if you don't action, nothing's going to happen with it. It's moving from entrepreneurial to being purposeful in what we do. Ahas on the 135. That's something that we do, guys. We do that on a regular basis in our business. And we revisit that. Like I'm revisiting we'll be going into Q3. And we're actually moving to the 12-week year. So that's moving into doing a 135 as an action plan for the next 12 weeks. So instead of looking at a year base where we got 12 months in it to really maybe miss the mark a couple times. And then at the last 6 months, we're like, oh crap, we got to make up. And then all our activities kick in. But guess what? At the end of the year, this was last year, at the end of the year, we're all firing on all cylinders. We're doing so many transactions, but guess what? We're burnt out by the time February comes. And this because we didn't reflect on what we needed to be doing for the first 6 months, right? So by reflecting on what's happened and what to move forward with, you're gonna just have way better results. All right, so database activity. So moving into that aspect of having those contacts and leads, right? Like a contacts aspect is what you're going to do, right? You want to be able to put them on that 36 touch. If you go back to your 135 and get in front of them, right? Now your leads, you're going to want to, if you're doing online lead generation, or if you say you get nurtures, you're going to want an 8x8, right? An 8x8 is 8 touches over 8 weeks. This is where you're going to cement your mind share, right? Get your name or your brand in their mind. So when they think about real estate or they're ready to go with it, they think about you and they call you, right? So that statistically speaking is like that 8 weeks and 8 touches is what will cement you in their mind. Like I would be pressed to say that it's more now, right? And you actually have to increase the interval of touches. But if you look at some people who are big on recruiting and lead generation, they actually go into like, they'll have like 14 touch points. And if they set an appointment, they'll push the 14 touch points into that and make them happen before that appointment happens. So now you take that 14 touch points, because that's what's proven to work. And now you just expand it in a couple of days, right? Or whatnot. Like, but it's just getting those touch points in is what is proven to work on that as well. All right, so let's say you've been doing 20 contacts a day for cold calling, just for that sake, or door knocking. Now, what do you do, right? What are you going to put them on? How are you going to make sure that you convert these guys over to business, to really close business at the end of the day, right? So that's where you're gonna move into the 8x8s, and I guess your Mets and non-Mets, right? So you're gonna. The Mets is what we call the 36 touch is what we're going to put it on. So you got your 26 touches monthly value piece, whether it be a market update, right? You can do a market update mass email, right? We actually kick that up a notch where we do Friday breakdowns. So we will do a recap of any listings that have hit the board on the week prior, and any success stories as well. So if we just nailed down a client, a home under asking, we actually we'll put that story out on email to our whole database as well. All right. Events for 2 events, invites as well, and then 4 promotional touches, and then 4 touch telephone calls. So if they're a Met and they're not actually a nurture and they're not moving forward, like it's a quarterly call. Okay. So non-Mets, you got your quarterly calls as well, 12 touches monthly value, 2 promotional touch items, and your 1 touch annual invite as well. So I would you could keep that, maybe that monthly email aspect the same, and then roll in the extra touch, right? That extra Friday call or Friday email to your Mets. But there's still like the non-Mets are still going to want to see, you're going to want to see the aspect of like value pieces, right? Like the stats videos, or, new buyer or new homes listed and stuff like that, right? All right, so this is 12 direct and 8x8. All right, so 12 direct is going to be your non-Met. So if you look at the Millionaire Real Estate Agent in order, and this was when it was written, I think early 2000s, you're going to need about 16,000 non-Mets in your ability to market to. Okay, so those are non-Mets are the people that don't know you, they don't really know anything about you, right? So that's where your 12 direct is going to market to, right? So that could be, if you have a farm area, you're going to be farming them with, maybe you do a monthly flyer, right? So that's 12 touches over 12 months. Okay, so you're 8x8. So they go from the non-Mets to a Met. I've met them. I was door knocking the area, and he's thinking about selling in the next 3 months. Or that's not going to do longer. Next 12 months. Okay. Okay, so the next 12 months, I know he's going to be thinking about selling. I'm going to put him on my 8x8. My 8x8 right now consists of, between value add emails to calls, right? Initially, right off the bat, it's like I put a thank you card in the mail with my business card. A week later, I call him, hey, just want to check in. Did you get my business card? Awesome. Thank you. Anything you need from me at all, right? Just add that, just be that servant mentality, bring that value. Right. And then it moves into other pieces like a stats card and whatnot that are sent out, and then another follow-up. Right. And then as they get to the end of the 8x8, they move into the 36 touch. Now what are they getting on the 36 touch? Right. They're getting the weekly emails, the stats video, they're getting the success stories, right? The testimonial stories. They're getting the invites to the events, right? Like, with COVID, obviously you can't do no in-person events, but without it, because if we can at least get out of that this year, like in-person events are going to be awesome next year. I think we had a wicked year planned for them last year, but that obviously got put on pause.
But online,
so
too.
Now they go from an 8x8, they go from a non-Met. You can see the progression, right? You go from a non-Met, they call you off of a flyer or you door knock them, right? They come into your 8x8. 8x8 happens, and if you follow the procedures on it, yeah, okay, now they know you, and they like you, and they trust you, they go into 36 touch. And that's where then you bring the value, and you bring that human element too. Like, hey, we're doing an event. We'd love to see you out. We got a barbecue going on. Come on over, right? So yeah, it goes into personalizing the database. That is exactly it, right? Because once they're in the 36 touch, they're in your database. They're going to get everything that you send to your database, right? You want to segment it out, so really know where they're at with what stage. Maybe they like a certain hobby or whatnot, right? Maybe you can classify your nurture out for certain items, right? Maybe they want to do investment properties in the future, right? So when you're developing other marketing strategies, you can send it over to just that tag, like investing tags, right? Set up smart plans. So for KW, okay, sorry, how do I go back here? For KW agents, using command, they can set up smart plans, and automatically they can have a 36 touch going out, right? You can do a birthday reminder. You could do anything you want, really, and it'll remind it, or an automatic email will go out, right? For myself personally, like we use follow-up boss still. It's way more encompassing of everything that we have. So automatic emails go out. We have MailChimp for all of our mass emails that go out to on the weekly basis for success stories and everything as well, right? So keeping your notes updated as well in the profiles, because that's going to allow you to have better conversations. If you called Bob 2 months ago and he was thinking about moving, and you put him through the 8x8, and you had that great time, you had that great relationship with him, he goes onto your 36 touch and you forgot to take the proper notes, and then you go to call him, and you kind of forget, because once you get to that point and you're talking to that many people on a daily basis, you're going to forget who you talked to. You're going to forget what you talked about, right? Those notes are there for a reason. So make sure you take great notes and you know exactly where to go with it, because if you can have a good talking point, that conversation is just so much easier, right? All right. Any ahas on that front, guys? Any questions so far? No? Okay. All right. So moving into the sales pipeline. So appointment, active, under contract, and close. All right. So how we're going to get them from that appointment, making sure they're qualified, and then moving them down the pipeline to active and close. Now, I don't think we actually sent you a pre-qualifying script. I would say maybe we throw that in as well. And there's certain points that I stress in regards for scripts and stuff like that. Like the pre-qualification script is key, because you're going to run through that aspect, and you're going to be able to know whether or not you're taking that listing tonight, right? If you have to ask the questions right, and you navigate the pre-qualifying script, it's not really a script, it's just a list of questions. But if you can you have the right answers, you got a 95% chance of taking that listing tonight, rather than, oh, it's just someone that wants a value, rather than actually thinking about listing. And then when you really get into that, it allows you to consider, reflect, is my time worth it going on this home value appointment, or is it better spent maybe lead generating for another listing, right? Because where are you on that goal tracker? Where are you in regards for your net income that you wanted this year? Okay. All right, so appointment to close. All right, so you have an appointment. What are you going to do with it, right? You're going to prepare for the appointment, right? We have as our promise script as well. So when we move everything down that line, we have an actual pre-appointment package that's prepared for us, and we take that out. We have a listing magazine, right? So the listing magazine is emailed to them prior to, right? It's another touch point, right? And then on that pre-qual call, hey, we're going to actually put some time into preparing for this appointment. Could you just do me a favor? We're going to send you over a pre-listing magazine prior to our appointment. And you just take 10, 15 minutes and just review that for me. What it's going to do is it's actually going to answer some questions that you probably already have. And it might even bring to light some questions that you didn't even know you had already. Does that sound fair? Right? Tie it down. And yes, and 90% of the time, they're going to be looking at that prior to. Now, what that does is it's answering a lot of the common questions, because if it's someone that didn't know a lot about you, it's answering those questions already. It's showing them that social proof of testimonials and whatnot that people have written already, right? It's showing you some of our marketing aspect, what we do to market your home. Because at the end of the day, if you go into that appointment and you're like any other agent showing you what you're going to do for them, how do you differentiate yourself? Right? Or are you going into the appointment looking to solve their problem, and going into that appointment really digging deep with them and seeing what truly their problem is and what they need accomplished, and then how you can put it together and help them in that manner, right? Because if you go into that, if you change your mindset of what you're going to do versus how you can help, that's how you'll win clients over, right? And not only on that, it's about the experience when it comes down to it, right? Like, because if you look at your actual experience from that appointment taken or listing taken to the close aspect, that's where you're going to hammer down and get those referrals out of it at the end of the day. So you're going to, from the appointment, it is always an experience. It's always an experience for everyone, right? It's a matter of what you're going to do, right? As a solo agent, it's harder to provide that awesome experience, but what can help with that is checklists. What can help with that is action items that will go along, like a process or a system, right? That'll go along with the listing. So maybe you don't forget to action on something, right? But it starts at the appointment. It starts with how you present that listing package and second is when you sign that listing paperwork, what happens, right? Are you giving them that promise letter? Are you fulfilling that promise, right? Are you giving it, like sending them a thank you card to say, hey, thanks for putting your trust in us. We look forward to helping you accomplish your real estate goals, right? And then once you're live, what happens when you go live on MLS, right? And then what about closings, or not closings? What about like a pending transaction? What happens once we have a pending transaction in place? Like, are you sending them a congratulations, small gift or whatnot? Are you asking for referrals throughout the process as well? The more you ask, the more natural it's going to come to you. And it is 100% a great business source. The more you ask, the more you're going to feel comfortable with it, and the better experience that you're going to come along with it, right? Because if you look at our promise script and we fulfilled that promise, my transaction coordinator is having that conversation. Hey, how did it look? Like, how was your experience? Did we fulfill our promise to you? Awesome. Can you leave us a 5-star review on whatever channel? And who do you know that's thinking about selling? All right, so this is the roadmap to an A+ experience, a 5-star experience, right? You do staging, your home's listed, home's sold. Like, there's a lot that can happen in between this area here. Congratulations, gift dropped off. Checklists, moving checklists about your new home. Where are they going? Have you looked at what the utility companies are for that, right? Are you giving them that value in regards and instead of them having to go and be all stressed out and figure it out? If you know, like, a checklist can be sent to them and say, hey, this for if you're moving to Kitchener, here's all of the aspects of what you need to know to set up your utilities for your home. Take a look. If you have any questions about getting this done, just follow the checklist and let me know, right? Weekly check-ins occur. Anything I can help you with? Any questions coming up? Awesome. No? Okay, great. Who do you know that's thinking about moving that we can help out this year? Right? Home closes and the clients are moving in, we send out a dinner. So every single client that purchases or sells, and once they're moving, we go and skip the dishes or whatnot, and we have an actual meal sent to them while they're moving, because we know that when you're moving, it's hectic and it's busy and people are forgetful. Well, what do? They forget to eat. Guess what happens when they forget to eat? They get grumpy. At least I do, anyways. And what happens with that? It's just frustrating. It's not a great day. So when you look at if you truly look at in humanizing the experience, well, let's just fix that. Let's just send them dinner, right? So now you send them dinner, and the client raves about you and the experience and recommends you to everyone. All right, referrals can be the lifeblood of your business as well, right? If you're a solo agent and you're looking to increase the number of referrals, your client experience is where it's going to be at, right? It's going to bring in you more business if you really nail down that experience and you be consistent with it, right? Because you can't have one client say, oh my God, they did this, and this, and it was such an awesome experience, and then you fail on the other one, right? That's not going to go over well. And that's the growing pains when it comes down to it. That's learning and growing and looking at your systems and reflecting on what you've done and reflecting on what needs to be changed or altered as you grow. Because I'm a firm believer, you're never the same agent. You're never the same person ever, right? As we go, by me doing this webinar, I'm learning, right? I'm progressing, right? By you guys being on the webinar, you're learning, you're progressing. So you could take this webinar and I could teach it again in a year, and you could be on it again in a year, and I'll give you probably a different aspect of the webinar, right? And you would take whatever I'm saying at a different aspect. So you're always growing, you're always learning. So that's where you want to reflect, and you want to change and pivot and move forward. All right. So what do you guys think? What's your ahas? What's one thing you kind of want to take out of this, like, and move forward? Oh. Anyone? If you guys do have any questions for me too, and you want to jump on a call, I can do like a free business consult as well. We do have a link that Jody will post in the chat. You want to post that? Mm-hmm. It's callwithjerry.ca. There you'll see a couple times that are available, and we can jump on a half-hour call, kind of dive into your business, what you're looking to accomplish, and really what you might be able to change as well. Diana, yeah, the pre-listing package. Honestly, that was huge for us too. Like, it was massive, the difference, and the professionalism too, because not a lot of agents will actually take the time to deliver something, right? We're at the point where we almost want to even like put all our pre-listing packages in with like an Uber driver or someone that could actually drive and drop them off, and aim to get them to our listing appointments in before the end of the day, right? How would it look to you? How would it look on you if at your seller's work, they got a package within 2 hours of setting that appointment with you and said, we're excited to meet with you tonight. Here's a pre-listing booklet. Please take a minute and review it. How would that look? Like, no other agent's doing that right now. I only know of one down in the States that does it, and he sends it to their work. And he sends like a mug with it as well and everything, right? That's the experience that we're talking about. Yeah, Vanny, I can definitely share a pre-listing package and cold calling scripts. We can definitely send that out as well. We could do a PDF of the booklet, eh? Yeah, okay. And then, pre-selling, Diana, that honestly, pre-selling comes along with the action, with the action of like the 8x8 and the 36 touch, right? If it's a long sell, like on that aspect, it's definitely in that, but truly when the experience starts, that's when you're really pre-selling as well. Awesome. How to set it up and ask for a 5-star review. That's an amazing aha. I don't even know how many we're at now for our Google. We're at quite a bit.
Great referral us in the promise script that we sent out. That's based for referrals.
Yeah. So the promise script too, guys, like that took a little bit for us to really implement. Like we had that idea, like we ran into it through other agents, like from the States, probably about 2 years ago, I bet. And it's just, there's a lot of, because you want the experience to be concise, right? You want it to flow. So a lot of stuff has to happen to really get that promise script to work. But like, if you literally have that conversation, you have that promise script at the front of your package, and hey guys, I'm going, like, this is my promise to you. This is my promise to you guys as clients is we're going to deliver a great experience. And what I would like you to promise us is that if we fulfill that promise for you, you're going to leave us a 5-star review and send us a referral. Because once we sell your home, we're going to be out of work and we need some more work, right? That aspect, you set the expectation ahead of time. And then it's like, hey, how'd that go? How do you feel? Awesome, right? You're hitting them after that home is, you ask them after the home is pending. How'd that feel? Great. Did I fulfill the promise? Awesome. All right, I'm going to send you over the links and the email templates there. And then who do you know? All right. Yes, we'll send it to everyone as well.
There is a question here. How long? How long did it take before we started to gain traction in the business?
Traction in the business, like I was a solo agent, probably I would say for a good like 2.5 years, first in the business. When I look back at it, like I joined an independent brokerage as well. I wasn't at Keller Williams prior to, at first, and that was just taking word from a friend of mine already in the business as well. But up until that, I would like personally just doing what needed to happen and on the data, like knowing the tasks that needed to happen. Cause I did put myself in coaching right away. Like I was doing I think I was like in the low 30s for my second year in real estate, and then high 30s for the third year. And that's where I started building the team aspect as well, and hiring administrative and operations help as well. So like to get going in the business, guys, like it can be instantaneous. It's just a matter of following the right actions and being purposeful in what you do. Right. And this is why I do these webinars in that instance too. Like it just gets that message out there. Right. It's an avenue just to get our experience of what we do out there, and to improve everyone else's at the end of the day. Because if we level up as agents all together, it's just better for everyone, right? There are no bad experiences in real estate, right? Guess what happens if there are no bad experiences in real estate? For sale by owners will probably go away, right? Public respect will increase. Commissions will likely increase, right? Like that's the aspect, right? You look at why people go for sale by owners, it's because they had a bad experience. 98% of the time is they had a terrible experience with one of their agents. Right. So if we all raise up together, we will just have a way better career and a way better holding. If you look at what Gary Keller says, like he's out there to protect the agents. And he's out there to fight for our jobs, because guess what? Everyone else is out there to fight, like to take our jobs. Right. Like everyone's out there trying to figure out how they can tap into that commission market and take the commissions for themselves. Amazon's doing it. Right. Like Purple Bricks, all that stuff. They're all doing it. Zillow's in Canada. Right? You want to know the impact of what Zillow had in the States, like it's coming to Canada. They're already here. There's already premier agents doing showings on properties. So they will take your clients and they will sell the leads for your own clients back to you for a profit. So awesome, guys. So that was good. Anyone has any questions, feel free to just email me, reach out. Also book a time at callwithjerry.ca. And we can really dive into your business, see what needs to change, what you can do to pivot to really knock those goals out of the park for 2021. And we'll see you guys soon. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Matten.